When looking through old family photos, I found something horrifying in the background. Every year my family would get a family photo taken. We would always go to the same place, the local park. We'd then all stand in front of the large oak tree and pose for that year's family photo. Every year we would always ask our close family friend Terry to take the photo. It was our one tradition that we would follow every year as a family. We followed this tradition for over 15 years. This year was different though, and I was about to uncover my family's horrifying secret. Up until this year, we had always done this tradition, but both of my parents abruptly passed away, so in terms of family, I don't really have any now. When my parents passed away, they left everything to us 3 kids, and then we divided it up between each of us. Somehow I ended up with all of the family photos that were taken throughout the years. Maybe I was missing my family, or maybe I was feeling nostalgic, but whatever it was, I decided that I wanted to look through the old family photos and reminisce on years gone by. I didn't know it yet, but this would soon become the biggest mistake of my entire life. I went up to the old desk that is sitting inside of the small study room and opened the top drawer. Inside there was a large pile of old papers that I hadn't been through for many years. I searched through the old bills and the old letters, looking for the photos that I knew I had placed in this drawer. I had to search through all of the paper, and at the bottom of the drawer sat the small stack of photographs of me and my family standing in front of the old oak tree. I gathered them up and closed the drawer before heading out of the study and sitting in the armchair that is in my lounge room. I looked down at the photograph that was on top of the pile. I remembered that years ago I had placed the photos in chronological order, and so the photograph on top was the earliest one taken. I was about 3 in the photograph. My parents were both standing behind me and my brother Jake was next to me. Samantha was not born yet, so she didn't make an appearance in this edition of the family photo. I flicked through the photos, watching me and my brother grow older in each one, and then seeing my sister making an appearance in the 4th photo. I then saw both me and my siblings grow into older kids, then teenagers, and just as I was beginning to look like a man, the photos ended. I knew why the photos ended there. It wasn't because we were getting too old for it. I knew it was because my parents would no longer be able to be in them. And I don't think us kids felt right about taking the photos if our parents would be absent from them. I continued looking at the last photo. I was looking at both of my parents in the images, looking back at their smiling faces, smiling because they didn't yet know what would happen to the 2 of them. They were going to die soon. Then, something caught my eye. Behind the back of both my parents, between the branches of the old oak tree, a man was standing in the background, facing the camera and smiling. He was a very strange-looking man. He had long gray hair that hung around the side of his head, but he was balding on top. He was missing a number of teeth, and so his mouth was mostly a gaping black hole. His eyes, however, were probably the strangest thing. They almost appeared red, but that must have been because of the flash of the camera. I laughed a little bit to myself, thinking that we had been photobombed. I then finished flicking through all of the photos, and so was back at the beginning. I was about to put the photos back in the drawer, but that's when I saw it again. I saw him again. The same man, standing in the same spot behind my parents. The man looked the same age as he did in the previous photo, even though this one was many years earlier. He also had the same expression on his face, staring and smiling at the camera. His eyes were also the same shade of red as they were in the previous photo. I was a bit worried at this point. How could he appear in both photos that were taken 15 years apart? I then looked at the next photo, and standing behind the oak tree and behind my parents was the same man, looking exactly the same, his eyes still red.